Lassie Farm. This is just an incredible short story by Annie Proulx from her Bad Dirt Wyoming Stories collection. First time I read this, it just blew my mind. Buddy Millar was the kind of driver who avoided traveling on a main road with other cars. This distaste for sharing the highway often took him rough-wheeling across the prairie or into a labyrinth of faded gravel tracks. Some of these roads were shortcuts, but most were long. And a few were serious, bad dirt. He had grown up 30 miles from Graybull in a hamlet without traffic lights and learned to drive at age 8 on the perimeter roads of his parents' sugar beet farm. An hour after his high school graduation, Buddy's father handed him a beer and said, "Well, what's it going to be, college or a job?" "Job," Buddy said. The shining light in the family was his cousin Zane, a wildlife biologist assigned to Denali National Park. He came back to Wyoming every year at Thanksgiving to see his family. At 38, he was still single, and Buddy, who didn't like him, thought he might be queer. He kept looking for telltale signs, but Zane was a good actor. His area of specialty, as he called it in a supercilious tone, was wolves. Although earlier he had worked with tropical fruit bats. He subjected the family to lectures on wolf behavior, wolf psychology, crimes against wolves. Every Christmas he sent cards featuring wolves leaping through the snow. Buddy's mother, during one of Zane's visits, said something about how wonderful it was that Zane was helping preserve the balance of nature. And Zane had made a face and said the balance of nature was a dead dodo. Nothing is really balanced. Try to think of it as an ongoing poker game, say 5-card draw, but everything is constantly changing. The money, the card suits, the players, even the table. And every ante is affected by the weather, and you're playing in a room where the house around you is being demolished. Buddy and his father, in sympathy for once, exchanged glances. "Truth is," said Zane, "most of the time we don't know what we're doing, just tinkering in one view, another view." "Quit while you're ahead," said Buddy's father, and silence fell on the table. At first, Buddy worked for his father, but the old man had a temper and his son had a way of saying the wrong thing. When the methane gas boom opened up, he hired on as a roughneck with a crew in the Powder River Basin. After a few months, he gave the tool pusher some lip and was fired. He went to Denver, where he picked up an indoor job as a grouter helper. When he got laid off, he took a job that Latinas usually did, making dice from pre-cut nitric celluloid cubes. But the volatile solvents gave him bad headaches, and the tedium of drilling and painting little spots sent him back to construction. He blamed the city for his increasing depression. He could not get used to so many people, and Denver, especially 16th Street, was a freak parade of half-boiled Indians in stacked jeans, women, the 100 colors from charcoal to cheese. Street people swarmed everywhere, and a handful of water dipped out of Cherry Creek could not lighten the tan that went with being down and out at high altitude. And here's a fine gentleman with a leaf blower. Well, that's fine. Let him do his job. At least somebody wants to work. There were tourists asking one another for directions. when they all found were fast food and sleazy t-shirt shops. And down near Market Street, a demented sculpture project of metal buffaloes with human knees. They got that look on their faces that said, "Why did I come here?" To this, he added his own dislikes. Mullet heads in suits and skinheads in waddle shorts, waiters out in the street for a smoke break, a lesbian couple sharing a caramel apple, a black man sweating in a mink coat in the September heat, caps emblazoned Avalanche, Rockies, Broncos, people cruising, hanging out, waiting for whatever came next, all cranking along against the western flash of mountains. And there was his boss who, when he gave an order and wanted to be sure he was understood, said, "You looking at me?" For a year, Buddy endured. Then, after a scuffle with a trench trimmer, said the hell with it and headed north, seeking out back roads. Within a mile or two of crossing the Wyoming line, it began to snow. Sparse, dry flakes. The map showed a gravel road cutting west in the vicinity of Thai siding, and he watched for it. He thought he must have missed it, pulled into a ranch entrance to turn around and saw that it was the one he wanted. He could see it snaking west towards the distant Medicine Bows. The road was rough and with stiff ruts left by hunters' trucks, but passable. Despite the snow, the surface was dry, and his Jeep raised a chill yellow dust that mixed with the flakes and hung in the air. For minutes, his parents pretended to be glad to see him, but let him know in little ways that he was wrecking things for them. The sugar beet harvest had been good, and they had set up a vacation. Now, out of the blue, here he was, Mr. Monkey Wrench. "You want to take a cruise? Take a cruise," he said. "I'll look out for the house, cook for myself, I'll house sit while I look for a job. Got enough money, I'll buy my own groceries." "Oh, Lord, I can see it when we come back. Dirty dishes, mud, dust," his mother moaned. "And I don't really want to go on a cruise. It's your father's idea. I don't care about icebergs." But he had convinced them, and they left. It was wonderful at first, having the house to himself. He made a big effort to keep it clean. He slid into the silence of his childhood, slept like a stone at the bottom of a lake. About 10 days later, after they left, someone broke into the house, cleaned it out while he was down at the bar, took the 2 TV sets, the kitchen appliances, including the dishwasher, his father's golf clubs, his mother's fur coat, which he had promised to put in cold storage for her, his father's coin collection. He remembered telling his mother she should bring the fur coat. It would be cold among the icebergs, but she took her sea green anorak with the wolf fur trim that always brought approving chuckles from ranchers. And we will leave it there. I think they got me loaded here. Pick it up here on the next episode. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever you're doing.